welcome to The Acorn, the podcast that drops a little bit of psychoeducation so you can gain a better understanding of the therapy world and yourself. So without further ado, let's jump into our episode. Hello and welcome to Season 1, Episode 8 of The Acorn. Today we have with us psychotherapist Michael Fischhoff, and we will be talking about suicide ideation. Say hey, Mike.
Hello, good to see everyone.
And so Mike, just to give you a little bit of a background about him, he has a passion for social justice, mental wellness, and self-care. He has spent the last 15 years working with kids, youth, and families around issues like trauma and addiction. He has also co-founded a great organization called Fight for Freedom, where him and his team, they work together with individuals impacted by the sex industry and sex trafficking. And so he is a very busy man, also a father and a husband. He is so busy, right? But we are grateful for his giftings. So thank you, Michael, for being here.
Thanks so much. It's great to be here.
Awesome. Okay, so when we think about suicide ideation, the first thing that I think about is feelings of hopelessness, right? So especially at this time of year, we're coming out of the holidays, so people are then feeling like increased feelings of grief, right? They may have lost a loved one, right?
Yeah.
They've just gone through different family events. Things are coming up for them. There's triggers that are coming up for them, right?
Yeah, that's right.
In addition to that, we also got SAD, which is seasonal affective disorder, right? We know there's less sunlight, the days are shorter. It is hard. It's cold. Yeah. We're in Canada. It is cold, right? And so it's like you have things like that. You also have people having increased feelings of loneliness, depression, and even trauma symptoms kind of like being activated. So with all of those things in mind, feelings of hopelessness can then sometimes move all the way over to feelings of suicide ideation. And so I'd love your insight, Michael.
Yeah, we just passed this week, the third Monday in January. It's typically known as Blue Monday, the saddest day of the entire year. Yeah. Post-Christmas, beginning of a new year, finances are often tight for people. It's a really difficult time, middle of January here in Canada. And suicidal ideation is an experience where someone begins to contemplate what it would be like to possibly not be here any longer, thinking of ending their life. And so the thoughts can be random, where someone just feels like they should no longer be present here, or they can be a little bit more concentrated in the area of thinking of how might one actually take their life to leave this world. And so it can range in various experiences, but ideations around suicide are thinking about or planning to die.
Wow. And that is so heavy and it's so challenging to get to that place where you're feeling that. What are some of the things that people can do about it when they realize this is where I'm at, this is what I'm feeling right now? What should they do?
Yeah. First thing is to recognize that this is really common. You know, a lot of people going through crises or big stressors in life or just those difficult transitions of a new season can contemplate what it would be like if they weren't in this world anymore. So to recognize, to normalize that suicide ideations are quite common. I've worked with people for more than 15 years, and very many of the people I've worked with have said that they've had thoughts at once in their life of ending their life. So first is to recognize that. Second is to recognize that there may be a lot of reasons that someone has to die. So everyone I've ever worked with, there's also a reason to live, at least one. And so having someone safe that you're able to go and talk to about your experiences is a huge step in beginning to walk through what you're feeling and how to get the help that you may need.
Wow, that's exactly what's needed, right? The idea of actually having someone to talk to. So who can those kind of people be for those who are having suicide ideation?
Yeah, so the training would say that anyone can be a safe person, a family member, a friend, a coworker, but it's also really good to be connected to a professional who can also offer some additional support. So whether that's a social worker, psychotherapist like us, a psychiatrist, a medical doctor, psychologist. There's a lot of supports out there for someone to go and to kind of reach out and get some help in these crisis moments. On top of that, there's some amazing facilities in different regions across Canada that offer support for those with suicidal ideations. And they're usually just at a fingertip of a quick Google search. So the Centre for Addiction and Mental Health, CAMH, that's in the Toronto area. The Gerstein Centre is another one in Toronto. There's a whole bunch across the nation. Your local hospital usually is fitted with an appropriate, ward that addresses this kind of thing. And then just in the last few months, since November 2023, they've launched a crisis line across Canada, 988. And that is a number that you can text or you can call and talk to someone at any point of the day and get some support.
That's wonderful. I feel like that one resource right there is so important, that 988 number. And so if there was one takeaway that you could just have for the listeners, what would it be?
That thinking that you are not sure you want to be here is okay. Reach out to somebody, talk about it, and recognize that, yes, there may be some reasons to want to die, but there are likely also some reasons to live. And someone can journey with you and support you in finding help that you might need.
That's great advice. Thank you for that takeaway. And thank you for the resources. That was wonderful. Okay, so you've been listening to Mike share on this very important topic, and you can find him at onthejourney.life. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks so much, Shar.
Okay, take care.
You too.
Well, this has been another episode of The Acorn. Remember, the content in these podcast episodes are for educational, informational, and entertainment purposes only. Disclaimer. Anything said in this podcast should not be considered as treatment, professional consultation, advice, clinical instruction or assessment, or any other mental health replacement. Listening to this podcast does not create a therapist-client relationship between you and the podcast host. Always seek the advice of your own mental health provider regarding any questions or concerns you may have about your mental health needs. Also, if you need immediate help, contact your mental health provider or call 911. Take care.